Tilrashk looked at the human in disbelief. You're actually coming to help us? Of course, that's what allies do. All of the other allies of the unified Clernk administration had ignored their requests for help and abandoned its largest colony, Blarnask II, to its inevitable doom. This was understandable. Beset by the Gthnkulchai, Blarnask II was considered a lost cause. The hyper-mechanized insectoid race didn't often stray outside its borders, but when it did, it always went badly for whomever was in their sights. The Gthnkulchi had one of, if not the largest and most capable militaries in the galaxy. Their navy was capable of waging war on multiple fronts against multiple star nations, and their army's foot soldiers put other races' elite soldiers to shame. It was lucky for the galaxy that most of the time the Gthnkulchi were content to stay in their quadrant of space. However, when the Gthnkulchi did venture out into the wider galaxy, whether to address a perceived slight, acquire resources, or simply keep their scything limbs sharp, all other star nations steered incredibly clear of the conflict. Hence Tilrashk's surprise at the offer of help. But he'd be a fool not to take up the offer of help. Perhaps the two nations together, with a healthy dose of luck, could somehow evacuate what civilians remained on Blarnask II. A few hours later, in a secure station deep in Clernk territory, Ashrank stood above the holoprojector display of Blarnask's system across from the two human representatives. Okay, so I'm afraid to admit that we don't have a lot of actionable intel on the Gthnkulchi. Keith, what do you Caesars have? Keith Hallingstead, Grand Admiral of the Core Systems of Earth's 7th Fleet, stared at his counterpart. Ashrank got the distinct feeling that Keith didn't like the other human's nickname for the CSE. I'm not surprised to hear that your empire has produced nothing useful. Tell me, why is the Erie here again? Now it was Hallard Malpente's turn to bristle. Commander of the Empire of New Earth's 4th Fleet. He had arrived just minutes after Keith. The unified Clernk administration may have brokered the peace that ended the war between these two human empires, but Ashrank sensed that those efforts might be undone if he didn't get focus back on the reason both men were here in the first place. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming to our aid. I believe I can provide all the data you will need for strategic coordination. Now, if you will take a look at the holoprojector. The Gthnkulchi had deployed to the Blarnask system in an unconventional formation and with extreme numbers. Normally, when attempting to take a system, the attacker would bring a single formation of 3 to 5 fleets and a few armies and troop carriers. After sweeping defenses, one fleet would remain over the target world with the troop carriers, while the remaining fleets would box in the hyperlane to intercept reinforcements. This time, the Gthnkulchi had deployed 2 full war hosts to the modestly sized Blarnask system. A full 7 fleets boxed in the hyperlane exit, 4 facing inwards, 3 covering their rear, and another 3 fleets sat with the troop carriers. Clearly a reaction to the advent of jump drive technology, which the ENE had so devastatingly used against the Voluntary Empire 5 years prior. The Gthnkulchi ground invasion force was significantly more normal fare. 3 armies, 750,000 soldiers total. One army was more than enough to take the world within the year, so Ashrank predicted that Blarnask II would fall within the next 90 cycles. To oppose them, Ashrank had 4 Clernk fleets, all hyperlane bound, and 2 human fleets of unknown capability, but apparently both jump drive capable. Nowhere near enough firepower. The ENE also had an attachment of 100,000 drop troops. Hallard called them stormtroopers and pioneers interchangeably. And the CSE fleet had an attachment of 250,000 devil dogs, whatever that meant. Ashrank had seen a human's dog before, fluffy and loud little thing in an ambassador's purse, so he wasn't filled with confidence. Despite the bleak outlook, the 2 humans absorbed the information with good humor. Keith looked up from his data slate and asked, "So, Ashrank, why exactly is it that the Gthnkulchi armies are so feared? I've only heard disjointed stories about their capabilities, and I'd like to have a better picture of what I'm sending my boys up against."